again. Again. I'm trying this again because the last time I tried this, it didn't work. And that was bad news all around. So this time, I'm going to try it and see if it does work. And if it sounds like I'm a weird robot recording from a toilet room, I trust someone will let me know if it sounds like I'm a weird robot recording in a toilet room, which I hope I'm not. I hope people don't think of me as that, as a weird robot recording in a toilet room. So what I'm doing is I'm going to do a live broadcast of a recording of Deep in Bear Country because it keeps me on task, it keeps me from rambling, and it keeps the episodes very short because I just want to get it over with. And that also makes it there's less dead air because I'm so attuned to the fact that I need to keep talking because this is actually being seen by people. Even if it's not being seen by people, I'm looking and like no one is here, but it psychs me up. I can see myself doing this, and I know I would be bored if I was watching or listening to this. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to keep the sound moving, which is, I guess, the whole point of like broadcast, like what they call that dead air, like the definition of that, which is like just there's no sound moving and people are going to get bored. So I'm going to record starting right there. We go. Now I'm actually recording this episode. It will not be a lost episode. It will not be one of my famous I forgot to press record episodes. And what am I doing today? Let's find out what the book is. It says in the title, but oh, it's a bad one. I mean, okay. So this book is what I refer to as this is a grim book. Not because of the subject matter, but because of the subject matter. In the sense, well, what I mean is, it's not the subject matter itself is not inherently grim, leading you to believe that this would be a very upbeat or at least very neutral book. But what it ends up being is kind of an indictment against like the entire concept of what it is apparently promoting or at least informing us about. And this is no longer also a first-time book. We are firmly within the HarperCollins book series. We are Gone are the Random House days. Gone is the first time book series where we are simply discussing the first time you might be encountering certain events, like going to the doctor, going to the dentist, moving, those kind of things. We are firmly entrenched in simple, these are books about the Berenstain Bears and they are square. They are also not the other Berenstain Bear books that are square that we've been talking about, the religious books, like the Faithful Friends that we just discussed. But to give a little context, Faithful Friends, which was the last religious book we talked about and the last story book we talked about on here, it's 2009. Today's book is from 2010, and there is a marked difference in the art style between the two books. This is 2009, Faithful Friends is 2009, and this week's book, Go Out to Eat, is 2010. And there is some historical importance to that and to this time frame. So we'll get to that at the end. But let's talk about this week's book, The Berenstain Bears Go Out to Eat. I usually don't start off this way. I usually don't start off by saying what the name of the book is. Usually I start off by reading a little poem. And so I'm going to do that right now. Today's little poem begins, dining out, though quite a treat, is a lot of work for a bite to eat. And that's going to be our premise. That's going to be how we, that's kind of what's the term I'm looking for? That's the thesis statement. That going out might seem cool, but it's actually a lot more work than you might think it is. Eating as work, pleasure as business, the loss of enjoyment once you are saddled with children is kind of the point of this book. So let's dive in, shall we, to The Berenstain Bears Go Out to Eat. It's pretty grim right off the bat. So what we're looking at here is a book about the Bear family. And it starts off by telling us that brother and sister are pretty awesome and they do their chores, that Honey Bear, their little sister, is a pain, and that Papa Bear works hard at his job, but he doesn't do anything around the house. And that Mama Bear's job is essentially cleaning everything and taking care of Honey and then making dinner at the end of the day and making sure that everybody is fed. And at one point, it uses the curious phrase, taking care of honey bear is almost a full-time job in itself. Yeah, taking care of your child is almost a full-time job. Taking care of your child is a full-time job. Taking care of a house is a full-time job. Taking care of meal planning is a full-time job. And mama is overworked. She's overworked and underappreciated, and we know she's underappreciated because it lets us know that every once in a while, because mama is so overworked, Papa and the Cubs will do the dishes for her. It's a little something special. A little something special. You do 3 full-time jobs a day, every day. So once in a while, we'll wash the dishes so that you can, and I quote, rest and watch the evening news on TV. And why just the evening news? Why does it specify that? Probably because she then has to put Honey Bear to bed. And then so you really can't watch anything else. You have time for a solid half hour of TV, mama. And then it's time to be mama again. And what is Papa doing? I assume watching Matlock or whatever it was people were watching in 2010. So mama is run ragged. And one evening she is so exhausted that Papa Bear's like, I got a great idea. We're going out to eat, and we're going out to eat at the Bear Country Grill, which I assume is a cool place. I assume it's a good place, but probably not like too cool because it's still family friendly. Maybe something like along the lines of like a Bennigan's or a TGI Fridays, or maybe if you're going to get really fancy, some sort of all-you-can-eat buffet. I don't know, but yeah, they're all going out to eat at the Bear Country Grill because it's time you had a night off. So they all pile into the car, and Mama isn't as excited as everyone else. You can even see, you can tell by the picture that Mama's not quite as thrilled. And why? Because Mama is tired. Like Mama, again, has worked 3 jobs, and now she has to like put on her clothes and go out of the house. So they pull up to the Bear Country Grill. Looks awful. It just looks awful. And it's not just that it looks awful because it looks like a terrible place to go to eat. It looks weird because so this is a weird era in the Berenstain Bears. 2010. It's kind of a strange transition into these. Okay, so they switched from Random House to HarperCollins, and so they're doing all the storybooks there. Stan Berenstain, he is no longer with us at this point, and Mike is slowly taking over more and more of the duties. And they are working on the Living Light series, and they are working on the main series. And so this is Jan and Mike Berenstain. It says it right on the cover. Jan and Mike Berenstain pulling double duty here, doing all these books. This is so what I had mentioned in the beginning was this is the era that I started noticing changes in the Berenstain Bears. This was 2010, so it's a little before Mitzi was born. Willow, my other daughter, was about 8 years old around this time. So I wasn't reading to her Berenstain Bears anymore, but I had read a lot of Berenstain Bears. So in a couple of years, in 2 or 3 years, I'm going to start reading them to Mitzi, and I'm going to be going to the library to check them out. And one thing I'm going to start doing is pulling out books that I'd never read before. And that's when I'm going to start getting into this version of the Bears. I'm getting into this series, and I wasn't really paying a lot of attention at this point until I started noticing that the new books looked different. They felt different than the books in the past, and that's when I noticed that they were written by first Jan and Mike, and then Mike, and I commented on it quite a bit. I was like, okay, now we're reading a Mike book. This one looks different. But that's when I started really formulating what would become Deep in Bear Country. I started putting things together. I started looking at the publication dates, really absorbing when these books were written, like where they fell in the progression of the artwork and the storytelling, and this is when I started realizing the arc of the Berenstain's development of the Bear family. So yeah, Go Out to Eat is of that era. I don't think I read Go Out to Eat at that time. I just don't think it's one of the books that I picked up, but I definitely remember reading books from this time and being like, things aren't looking great at this point, which is strange because, as I said, the religious books, which were from aroundish the same time, have all looked phenomenal. Like, you can just tell from the covers that they're more vibrant. The movement is more fluid. The characters' expressions and faces look more self assured, and the main series just looks a little. And what's the shame of it is, I would love to ask about this, but I don't know how to ask about this without seeming like some kind of like just seeming like a jerk. Like, even though I have a rapport with the Berenstains, like with Mike and with the company, I feel like it would be just jerky of me to say like, so why didn't things look very good during this time? Like, what was going on at this point? Like, why did everything? So I don't know how to readdress that. So if anyone magical is listening to this, if anyone's magically listening to this episode and can just answer that question of why things looked really janky, just for this window of time, I would love the answer. I could just be like, we were overwhelmed, didn't have enough time to like do as many passes as we like. We were trying new things, using new materials. I don't know. Like the publishers were demanding too much. Not sure what was going on. I would just love some kind of, even if it's boring, I would just like to know. I'd just like to know. But in any case, they're going out to eat. They're going out to eat at this giant square building that's built. I guess it kind of looks like a castle. There's no delineation between like the side. Like is that the road? Like there's a road. The cars, the scale of the cars to the bears is very strange. The scale of the building to the bears is very strange. It just looks very strange. It's very strange. It kind of reminds me of like the weird like shopping mall books where they're going up and down the escalators, and it's like I can't even tell like what's wall and what's floor at this point. There's just lines, and they've colored them certain colors. Like there's a lack of detail. So they go in, and Mama is exhausted. She is just off. She's just beat. She's off. She sits down immediately. They find out that it's a 30-minute wait, which to me doesn't sound that long. I mean, you know what it's like going to a restaurant and you find out that there's a 30-minute wait. You can either go to a different restaurant or go home and make yourself something to eat. But by the time that's done, it's going to be at least 30 minutes. You may as well stay. And that's what they decide to do. Mama decides to sit on the bench while Papa, delightfully enough, takes the kids out to feed the ducks. They go to a pond. They feed some crackers that Papa's had in his pocket, which I think is kind of gross and weird that he just kind of has crackers. But they throw them to the ducks, having a grand time. And when they get back to the restaurant, Mama is finished. She is out of commission. She's practically fallen asleep on the bench. Like, it says that. Mama was so relaxed, she was nearly asleep. And that's not good. It's not a good way to run a mama. So they sit, they chill out. They play a little game of I Spy, which if you're a parent, you've ever played I Spy with a child, you know it never goes well. It's not a fun game. It's just not entertaining. No one enjoys it, but it's something to do. It keeps your mouth moving, which is just like me. Like that. I guess I just described podcasting. It's not enjoyable, but it's something to do, and it keeps your mouth moving. Finally, the host comes and says, there's a table ready, so they go to sit down. They sit down, and immediately things start falling apart. It's just a nightmare. It's terrible. Mama's tired. She has to, like, cut the dinner rolls for the cubs, and then she's like, don't eat too many breads because you won't be hungry for dinner. And I'm like, Mom, like, let him eat. Let him fill up. Let him fill up on bread. Like, then you can take their dinner home. Like that's a win-win. Like, just let him eat bread. In any case, Honey Bear spills her water. Mama tries to sop it up, and Papa's like, "Let me do it." But then he ends up spilling the water himself, and then the server has to come and clean everything up. It's this family is not holding itself together well, and I don't know why they thought this would be a relaxing thing for Mama Bear. Like, I don't know what their thought, because she still has to mama. She still has to, like, put herself out there and be a parent. So I don't know, but you know, Papa's useless. Mama's useless, and she won't turn off. Like, she won't shut down, because the cubs are like, ooh, I want burger and fries. Brother's like, I want burger and fries. Sister's like, I want burger and fries. Mama's like, no fries. You're going to get broccoli with your burgers. And they're like, broccoli. And to me, I mean, I get it. You want your kids to eat vegetables. We want our kids to eat vegetables. I understand. Let it go. Like, it's been a long day. Just one day. Just let them have their burgers and fries. They're not going to die. They're not going to die. But they get the broccoli anyway. Or, you know what? Before you go to the restaurant, you take the kids aside and you say, okay, You can order what you want, but we're not getting fries with our burgers. If you get burgers, we're not getting fries. You're going to at least have to have one vegetable. You're getting broccoli if it's an option. If there's an option for sides, you're going to get the vegetable side. If there's only option for fruit, you'll get the fruit instead, but it's better than getting the fries. You clear that out before your bottoms even hit the car seat. That way, when you get to the restaurant, there's no arguing about it. You've already set it up. You're like, okay, what are you going to get? The burger and the kid will say, the broccoli. And you'll say, that's right, you're going to get the broccoli. Also, they promise them dessert later on, which you're not supposed to bribe your kids, but I mean, what are you going to do? It works. So they order the burgers. Takes, of course, forever for their food to arrive. When it finally does, the cubs are there. They're eating their broccoli. Their mom and dad are like, it's got vitamins in it. And the kids are like, why do vitamins taste so bad? And I'm like, this is that thing, too, where kids hate broccoli. And the only reason they hate broccoli is because it's a kid's book and they're supposed to hate broccoli. When in fact, if you prepare it right, I didn't actually just say words then. If you prepare it correctly, if you prepare it well, broccoli's fine. Like it roasts up fine. It saute it up. Like put it in with put some salt and pepper on it. It's fine. Like cook it up, toss it with some oil, put it in the oven for 15 minutes. It's a fine vegetable. It gets little crispy, crinkly edges and it's fine. It's good. It's fine. Yes, broccoli is tasty. Just enjoy the broccoli. But it's a kid's book, so they have to hate it. So they talk about how much they hate. I hate the broccoli. This is when Papa says, if you eat your broccoli, you'll get a dessert, which I believe was not agreed upon beforehand. I believe that Papa threw that out there. If you eat your broccoli, I'll get you some. If you eat the broccoli, you'll get some dessert. Like that sounds like a Papa thing to do, a Papa Bear thing. And that like later on, Mama Bear is going to be like, I really wish you would talk to me about that before you promised them dessert, because dessert really wasn't on my plan for the rest of dinner. I wasn't planning on getting dessert for the kids. I wish you had said something to me. But then he could have said, well, I wish you'd said something to me about them not getting to order French fries, which, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be a good like ending to a children's book, but it would be more realistic. Because I feel like, I mean, look at Mama's face. If you can see Mama's face, she doesn't look pleased with anything. They've gone out to dinner. They bought a nice dinner. They're trying to have a nice evening. Mama is so fatigued, she can barely eat. It's not a good plan. It wasn't a good plan. So they eat and they get ice cream. It has black berries on it. They're very happy about the ice cream. There's a running gag, by the way, going through all of this. I say running gag. It's not really a running gag because it's not funny. But they'll say things like, this makes up for the broccoli, said brother. That's for sure, agreed sister. Sure, said Honey. Like the running gag is that Honey will repeat the last word said by a person. When I say it's a running gag, I'm looking back at it. I think she does it like twice. Like it's nothing that you're like, oh boy, can't wait for Honey to say the word again. If you're wondering, yes, this is from when I developed my disdain for Honey Bear. My original disdain, which is slipping away the more I've gotten to know the child. So that's it. They eat their ice cream and they're ready to go. And Papa pays the bill and they say goodbye to the server and the hostess. Oh, and I want to point out that for some reason, the server is, where is she? There's a good picture of her in here. The server looks like Nurse Ratched. Like they have her in this outfit that looks like she stepped out of a 1950s mental health institute. Like she looks like she's dressed. She has like one of the little like white hats and the white outfit. Like she looks like she's getting ready to like give like pills to Billy Bigelow. Or whatever his name is, Billy Pilgrim, Billy Madison. I don't know who's the little guy from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I can't think of his name. Billy Preston. Billy. I don't know his name. Billy something. Billy, the little one, the one played by Chucky. I can't think of his name. In any case, so Nurse Ratched waves goodbye to them, and it's dark. Okay, because they've been there for hours, and now it's dark, and they find the car. They get in, and brother says, "Do you know what the best thing about this was? Do you know what the best thing about going out to eat is?" And you're like, "Oh, what? Like what? The dessert, the hamburgers, being with your family?" And he's like, "No. Not having to clean up dishes afterwards." And I'm like, that's smart, brother, because you don't clean up the dishes. It's not your job. It literally says on like page 3 that every once in a while you do the dishes. You weren't going to do them tonight anyway, brother. And then we get a final gag, a hilarious gag, a little callback to the last time Honey did this. That's for sure, they all agreed as they pulled out onto the highway and headed for home. Sure, said Honey. And they all, I guess, like they're supposed to be laughing. I guess it's supposed to have been funny. You get some really wild eyes on the Cubs there. But the way it's written, like, it just seems like that's for sure they all agreed. And then Honey's like, I'm sure. Sure. And that's the way it ends. Like, that's the end of the book. There's not even like a little Q&A at the end, like questions from brother, like how do you go out to dinner with you, or where do you like to go? Nothing. It's just done. You close the book and there's an ad on the back for more books. Like I said, like the religious books from only a year earlier, and they're still coming out. Like they've got like the big like Q&A at the end, like activities and questions to do. Like I don't know what the difference was. Like I don't know like why one and the other, like what one did this and the other one did. I don't understand like why more was seemed to have been being demanded of the Living Light series. Maybe that's just 'cause that's where the butter was. The bread was buttered. The butter on the bread. I don't know what expression I'm trying to go for. Maybe that's because that's where their butter was breaded. Breaded was buttered. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but maybe that's why they worked a little bit differently on these than they did on those. But that's the Berenstain Bears Go Out to Eat. It is about what it says. The Berenstain Bears going out to eat. Sometimes Brad Mariska, our collector friend, will make a joke, a hilarious joke, where he posts the Berenstain Bears book cover, and he says, "Spoiler alert, they do," because usually the title says exactly what happens in the book. The Berenstain Bears go to school. Spoiler alert, they go to school. The Berenstain Bears go trick-or-treating. Spoiler alert, they go trick-or-treating. This is the first one, though. This is the only one, I think, that could literally be described as the title. The Berenstain Bears Go Out to Eat. That is all that happens. There's no other storyline in this. There's no, like usually the books, like the Living Lights books, the Faithful Friends has like a beginning and a middle and end. And in the middle it has a conflict. And in the end it has a resolution and lessons are learned. In this one, it's like sometimes, like the whole plot of this book is sometimes the bears go out to eat. They went out to eat. The end, I guess. That's you. There is no other storyline. The name of the book is The Berenstain Bears Go Out to Eat. If you asked me what the plot of this book was, I would say the Berenstain Bears go out to eat. Like if you asked me the plot of Faithful Friends, I wouldn't say it's the Berenstain Bears' faithful friends. Figure it out. No, I would say, oh, well, sister has a new friend, and she's being alienated by the members of her own peer group, but she also is sort of alienating members of that peer group, and but she doesn't want to like reject her new friend, but she doesn't want to lose her old friends, and so like she has to figure out a way to bring them all together with a common interest, and so they do, and they learn that like she's not going away. That's a complex story. Whether or not it's successfully told, it doesn't matter. They tried a story. The Berenstain Bears Go Out to Eat is they go out to eat. Now, the reason I find this book also very strange is that it does not seem to enjoy going out to eat. This is a book about how bad it is to go out to eat. This is a book about, doesn't it stink to go out to eat with your family? And that's all that happens. Like Mama is tired. She's too tired to enjoy her evening. They take her out because they didn't ask her. Like Papa wasn't like, my dear, I know you're tired, but would it help if we just went out and got something to eat? What he should have done, if he wanted to spring it on her, he could have just been like, I'm going to go pick something up. I'll be back in 20 minutes. Or like, I called ahead. I got us a rotisserie. I'm going to get us a rotisserie chicken at Cub. I'll pick up some microwave vegetables. We'll be fine for an evening. Like, that's cool. That's cool. Not, put on your coat and hat, my dear. We're going out to eat with the whole family. It's not relaxing. It can be relaxing, but they obviously don't do it enough to make it a relaxing. You got to go out to eat enough that like you're like, okay, I got it. This is the trappings of going to a restaurant are no longer a problem. They're not overwhelming. There's no questions. We know what to expect. If you don't go out to eat enough, it's too big of an event. It's like going to a movie when you only go to a movie like every 6 months. You're like, okay, this is a big deal. Where do I sit? Where do I get the tickets? That's what going out to eat you have to eat with your family, with your kids. When you don't regularly do that, you don't know what to say. But it's also not a book about going out to eat for kids. It's not a book that's like, what's it like going out to eat with your family? Here's an one night brother and sister went out to eat with mama and papa and honey, and sister was misbehaving, or honey was misbehaving, and brother got embarrassed, and sister was like too hungry to eat, and they misbehaved. And so like, here's like, let's model how to actually like, or let's model for your parents how to deal with kids. That's not this either. It's very much like the bedtime battle book, the book where the kids wouldn't go to sleep, and so mama and papa like connived and tried to figure out how to get the kids to go to bed. And by the time they figured it out, they were so tired they fell asleep, and there was no lesson learned. It was just like sort of leading up to a gag, and then it was over. That is exactly what this book is like. It's like there's nothing to learn from this. They just did it, and then they were annoyed, and then they went home. I don't know. I'm stuck on this, and to me this is kind of like this is an example of these books around this time. They look a little wonky, they feel a little aimless, but they inspired deep in bear country. So tomato, kind of the reason I'm doing the show. I don't know. I wanted to figure out what was going on, so I built up a relationship with Mike Berenstain just so I could ask him about these books, I guess. So that's it. That's the Berenstain Bears Go Out to Eat from 2010. It is still available new. You can buy it new. I bought my copy new. Should you? I mean, I guess if you're a completist, but if you're looking for a fun book to read to your kids, I mean, again, I'm not a critic, but there's better books out there. There's better books out there from this era. So, I mean, unless your kids are like, what does it mean to go out to eat? You're like, well, let's read a book about it. Then you just do that. I don't know. Otherwise, you can find me at BStainBearcast on Twitter. You can write to me at BerenstainBearcast@gmail.com. You can find me at BerenstainBearcast.org. That's it. That's the way things operate around here. I have a very short haircut that when the light hits it like this, you can see my scalp. Otherwise, I'm just hanging out I'm just talking about the Berenstain Bears. That's what I do. So thank you so much, and I will see you all next time deep in bear country. Also, I got these Bluey action figures, or toys. I don't know if they're action figures because they're for little tiny children, but I saw them on a YouTube video. Someone used them in a YouTube video, and I was like, those things are adorable. Like, they are amazing looking for toys for little kids. So I bought them, and I got 2 of these, and one of them fell behind my bookcase, and I can't move it, so I will never see it again. I say these because I don't actually know any of the characters. I don't know their names because I've never seen this show, and I'm a 45-year-old man with children who don't watch children's shows anymore. So I will never see this show. I heard people are always like, gotta see Bluey. It's Australian and it's good. And I'm like, you know what else is Australian and good? Foster's beer. Because I'm a grown-up man. I don't watch cartoons. Honestly, I'm never going to watch this show, but I understand it's very good. And I like my little figures because they look really cool. That's it. I just wanted to throw that out there. This is all my toys behind me. I surround myself with toys because the world is dying. Bye.